Hi, welcome to Fabric Bites. It is November 30th, 2024, and this is my project for today, and probably tomorrow, and maybe into the next week. So this fabric is part of the stuff that was generously donated to us earlier this year, and I tried to find all of the Christmas fabric that we hadn't already pulled out. We have some that's right over here that we pulled out earlier this year, which is already pressed and prepped. And I got what I could find of the rest of it. I think I did get it all is here, and then upstairs in my washer I still have to actually finish prepping that or finish washing it. And I'm going to take this fabric and that fabric and see how many tote bags I can make, because I have a lot of fabric here, and I'd like to make something out of it and not have to store it again for another year, but I have it. I kind of like to make a gift with it. So totes was what came to mind after I did a lot of research. The project that I came up with last was coasters, and I thought, no, I have way too much fabric to do coasters. So coasters may be in the future, but not today. And so totes for me, because I think they're a useful gift, holiday, especially in the holiday, because we're all traveling and going and seeing our friends and our family, and even if you're not taking a plane and doing that, you may be driving or just in your community doing that kind of thing, and a tote would be really handy for that. So I am going to make them so that they are lined. So they'll be lined. I haven't decided if they'll be reversible yet, but they're definitely going to be lined. And there will not be batting or interfacing in them because they're Christmas. And if someone decides that they don't want to use a Christmas thing all year long, which often is the case, I think, then they'll be able to store it with a much lower profile than if it had batting or interfacing. Any type of interfacing in it. So I've opted to go with the lowest profile I can actually do, other than the fact that I do want it to be lined. So I'm going to get started. I've got some work to do. I'm hoping to get maybe at least one bag done today, or a combination of things done today. And I need to go put a load of fabric in the dryer. So I will be back in a flash, hopefully with a tote, or maybe just stacks of fabric. We'll see. All right, see you then. I'm back. So, been working on what size bag do I want to make. And so what I ended up doing was I had some paper grocery bags, because I forgot to bring my bags last week to the grocery store. And so I started out looking at what the dimensions of those were, and it was 12 inches wide by 7 inches deep by 14 inches high. Now, I immediately knew I didn't like the 7-inch depth. That's too big for something I want to make. I don't want to go that deep. And then I also decided I don't want to go quite that high. And so what I decided to do is looking at that kind of gave me an estimate on what I wanted. And so I'm going to go 12 inches high by 12 inches wide-ish. That is to be determined by my fabric, by 5 inches deep. To go 5 inches deep, I need to cut out 2.5 by 2.5 inch corners, because I'm going to cut the corners rather than do the triangle method on it. So that should give me about a 5-inch depth on that. So my handles are going to be 4 inches, the cut of the fabric. The final dimension will be 1 inch, so you go 4 times that, whatever your final is on that. So 4 inches by, the way the height I determined was based on the height of the body, because my goal is to take the piece of fabric that I have here and come up with the minimal amount of scraps. And so if I figured it out correctly, the only scraps I'll have are these corner pieces that I've cut out. We'll see on it. So to figure out the length of the strap, first I had to figure out what the height of my cut of my body was going to be. And so I started with that 12-inch height that I decided I wanted. I got 1/2 inch for the seam allowance. Even though I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam, I always give myself a cushion. And then 1 inch for the hem at the top, and then the 2.5 inch depth that I need, because that's what I've decided to do for my bag. So that made the height cut of that made what I was going to cut for the height of the body is 16 inches, so that's what the length of the handle is going to be, is 16 inches. Because what I'll end up doing is cutting the body here and then the handle off the end here. So, so now that I have the height, I have to determine how I'm going to get my width. So I wanted to see if this will work. Remember, my goal is to have it about 12 inches wide. So in order to figure that out, I'm going to take, first I have to see what the width of this fabric actually is. And I have 2 pieces here. So really first what I needed to do was make sure they were both the same width. If they're not the same width, you have to work with the smaller piece to get your dimensions. But these are the same width. So, and they're 21 inches when I fold it in half, so they're 42-inch wide. So in order to determine the width, I know I need some dimension that I have to determine still, plus 2.5 plus 2.5 for the depth, because you have to have 2.5 on each side, plus a 1/2 inch plus a 1/2 inch for my seam allowances, remembering that I'm going to do a 1/4 inch, but I give myself a cushion. And so that total right there is 6 inches. So I have my width right now is some number plus 6 inches, and then there'll be 2 of those of that. So it's x plus 6 divided by 2 is what my pieces will be. So x is going to be the width of fabric minus 8, because I'm going to have 2 straps. So that's 4 plus 4. And then I'm going to divide that by 2 and then subtract out that 6, because I'm trying to figure out that x value, not the cut yet. So my width of fabric is 21 times 2, so that's 42. Minus 8 is, let's see, minus 2 would be 40, minus 6 then would be 34. 34 divided by 2 is 17, right? 7, 14, yep, 17. And then minus 6 is 11. So the final width of my bag will be 11 inches versus 12 inches wide, and I'm good with that. I like that. So it'll be 11 inches. So my x is equal to 11, and my actual cut then, so this will be 11. My actual cut will be 11 plus 6, which will be 17. That's a little complicated, but I think I'm right. I think I did the math right on that one. So my height now is 16. My width is 17, and my depth will be taken care of. Let's see, equals 17-inch wide cut. My depth will be taken care of by cutting the corners out. So what I have a note here is that I do want, so besides the 2 straps that I want to pull out of here, I have a note here that I want to cut after I cut the fabric height, then I'm going to cut off the 4 inches at the fold here, which is 8 inches. And the reason I want to do that is that will give me 2 straps, right? 4 inches by 16 and 4 inches by 16. I'll have to cut that, once I cut the 4 inches off, I'll have to cut that in half to get 2 4-inch pieces, because it'll be it'll be 8 inches before I cut it. But why I want to focus on cutting from the fold is because I also want to do pockets. So if I cut here, then when I open it up, it's 8 inches, and then I can do 1 pocket or 2 pockets. I'm not actually sure yet. It's 16 inches. I'll have one piece will be taken up by the handle, so the other one will have an 8-inch piece wide by 16-inch piece left over, and I have to get either 1 or 2 pockets out of that. I don't know. Once I get it cut off, I'll take a look at it and see what size pockets I want, if I want 2 small pockets or what from there, or 2 big pockets or 1 big pocket divided. I don't know. Once I get the fabric cut off, I'll make that decision from there. So right now what I need to do is this fabric on the bottom here, if I can get there, I've already evened out the edge on this one, and when I evened that out, the piece that I cut off, because it was just as kind of wonky as this piece here, I took what I could get, as much as I could get. You can see how much I cut off here. Any part of that was still 1 inch wide, I kept that to make my fabric loops, and I'll do the same thing for this one. You can see how it kind of bows. Well, it's actually that far deep inside. It's that far off when I made it up. So I will have a considerable amount of fabric here when I go. I'm going to have to cut way back here. I'll flip it to the other side so I can actually see it, but I'll be cutting off quite a bit of fabric here, so I'll be able to make some fabric loops out of this as well, and then I'll decide how I want that to look, because I do like my fabric loops. So there it is. I hope that wasn't too crazy. Off to actually start cutting and sewing and seeing if what I figured out works out. So back in a flash. All right, just a quick update on where I'm at. I have all the pieces cut out here. Here's the body pieces. And I decided to go with 2 pockets actually. And this is, I took the long 8-inch, 16-inch strip, I cut it into 2 pieces. And then I took I made 1 big pocket or bigger pocket. And then I took the remaining pieces, so I do have another piece of scrap here. But what I did was I used those pieces from my corners to make the other side of the pocket. So now I can't decide. I kind of like this side, but I also like this side. So now I have to figure out what side I'm going to put up, and it probably is going to depend on whether or not I decide to put it on this fabric or on this fabric. Yeah, so I still have to figure that out. So I'm going to put these pockets on next. These, the excess I cut off. I have a whole plenty of stuff. I'm not going to use this section where I really made a mistake on the stitching, but I have this fabric loop, my handles cut out and sewn, pressed and sewn, and then now what I have left in scraps is just these 3 little pieces here. So I think I'm doing pretty good. All right, going to continue sewing. Got some decisions to make. Get these pockets on. I should be able to whip this out pretty quickly. See you back in a flash. Okay, real quick update. I have the pockets in on each of the interior and exterior pieces or body parts. On that one, they're sewn together. I decided that because I don't have interfacing on here, I wanted to add a little more structure. So what I did was I measured over from the seam and I pressed a line in both directions, and then I really closely to the edge stitched along the edge. I've never done this way before. This is a first for me. I've done it after the bag's sewn together. I've done that to add some structure, but this is the first time I'm doing it beforehand, so we'll see how that turns out. Before I actually stitched my body pieces together, I did press over my top hem here on both pieces, and that way, now that I've got it all together, it was super easy because the line was in place, the fabric was kind of knew what to do, and so I have that ready to go. Here I have marked on this side where I'm going to be putting the handles, of course on the inside, when I start putting this together, which is right now. Ta-da! It's done. So there it is, just pretty much a very basic tote. I did put the pocket here on the one side because there is no inside or outside, nothing on this side. And then I do like that the little stitching that I did right here does add some structure to this bag. It's still very floppy because there's no interfacing. Let me flip it. I can't say inside out. Let me flip it the other way out. How's that? And you can see this side. Here. It's plain on this side, fabric loop. And I opted for this pocket over here. Kind of blends in. I really like it. It's very little. I think it's kind of cute. And there it goes. On that one, the handles are stitched, back stitched, because I double stitched the top here. So that gave me the opportunity to double stitch the handles on here. So I think it will work out really nice. So one more time, let's flip it to the other side. And put that out there. So a little bit more versatile because it is reversible. And there it is. I hope you like it. I hope that wherever and whenever you're at, you're having a great time. And thanks for watching.